Hey guys, welcome to Teddy Head's channel. Please like and subscribe for more videos and check out my Patreon in the description box down below for more content. Welcome back to the channel. This is your host, Teddy Head. I'm back again with Mortal Kombat, the movie everybody's been waiting for. This is a hard reboot to the original Mortal Kombat movie series, which only had two movies, Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which were so-so. This hard reboot, I was so excited to see it, and I was really hoping that it was so much better. I'm just going to get into it. First of all, Tan's Cole Young. He's a new character. He's original. He was made just for the movies. He has this kind of armored suit when he finds his Arcana. I'll get into that in a second. And he apparently is the descendant of Scorpion. It's a new character. I feel like it wasn't needed. I feel like if they just spent a little more time on the script, they would have used a different main character. I was kind of surprised that Liu Kang wasn't the main character. Usually in these stories, in these movies, Liu Kang is the main character. In this movie, he's a side character. And I don't know the name of the actor that played him, but he was kind of like overshooting his lines. Like when he introduced Raiden, it was like, and here is Raiden. And I'm like, what? Maybe you should bring that down a little bit. But Tan Cole's character, I can't remember anything else I've ever seen him in. I think usually he's a stuntman. His delivery wasn't all that great. And his fight scenes weren't all that great. As a matter of fact, almost none of the fight scenes were that great. My feeling is with the Mortal Kombat movie, if you can't beat the original Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight from the first movie, don't do it. Just don't even try it. It's not worth your time. The story circled around Tan's character, who is Cole Young. They built him up a little bit, but I didn't feel like it was enough to say, hey, I care about this character. I mean, his relationship with his wife seemed like really weird. They didn't really explain it. It's like she'd show up and then she'd kind of walk away. And then she'd show up and then she'd kind of walk away. It's like they're in love, but it seems like they're more BFFs with benefits than anything. And they do have a daughter. They should have expounded on the daughter a little bit more because she is also a descendant of Scorpion. And the daughter is a likable character. Like in the beginning of the movie, you find out that he's a fighter and the daughter is his cut man, his like ring guy. And she just, I don't know, she appears to be a likable character in the story, and they did nothing with that. She, once again, is like a B character. So I think they should have worked on that. Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade, I don't know what it is about these movies. And I understand that in the original Mortal Kombat, the video game, she was meant to be eye candy. I get that. And even in the first two movies, she was sort of meant to be eye candy. But they get these blue-eyed blonde women who are stick figures to play this super badass, I can knock you out woman. And I just can't get it. One, they can't act. Their line delivery is horrible. And two, you feel like if you got in a fight with them, you'd accidentally kill them. If they could get like a fitness model that can act or something like that, or someone with a little bit of muscle to them, I feel like this character would be a little more believable. The line delivery definitely needs work. Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I'm gonna bundle them together because I feel like of the whole movie, they were the highlight. And I can see now why people that play the video games love Scorpion and Sub-Zero. No matter what movie they're in, they always seem to be the favorite characters in that movie. Like I said, Johnny Cage versus Scorpion in the first movie was probably the best fight in all three of these movies now. And even Scorpio got an animated movie a few months ago that's just about his revenge against Sub-Zero. So I can see why they've become favorites. Their story is the only really defined story in all of Mortal Kombat. You know, everybody has their little backstory or whatever, but between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, it's out there. Everybody knows it. If you know Mortal Kombat, you know their story. Their costumes, I feel like Sub-Zero's costume was pretty good, but Scorpion's costume, which came late in the movie, was kind of bulky for what he was. It was like they're ninjas, but they're wearing armor. And if you've ever seen any ninja movie, you know if they wear any armor at all, it's very little, it's very light, because they need to move fast. That's what ninjas are all about. They're stealthy and they're fast. So they're both wearing this big, hulking, bulky armor. I would have preferred the armor or the little color palettes from the first movie. It would have been fine. You could have made it like that, made it look metallic or something like that, and then just went about your business. But no, they built these whole big armored suits and what have you, and it didn't look right. Although seeing Sub-Zero fight in it, he was pretty good. Now the guy that plays Sub-Zero in this movie, he's also in a TV show called Warrior, and he's a great martial artist. But I feel like between all the fights in this movie, none of their true martial arts skill shines through. It's just pretty bad when it comes to the fights. The fights are mediocre at best. Melina, who is in this movie, who I was kind of impressed. I can't remember the woman that normally falls in love with Liu Kang. She's not in this movie at all, which I was kind of surprised about. But then again, Liu Kang's not the main character, so there you go. Melina, she has, you can tell, her character is very interesting. You can tell that her mouth opens, but it doesn't open till the end of the movie. And by then, you just don't care about her character. Her fight scenes, also mediocre. There's not a lot of character buildup in this movie at all. It's just kind of like, Shang Tsung. The guy that played Shang Tsung, I felt like his part was too small for this movie, and he didn't do anything. You know, in the original Mortal Kombat movie, Kerry Tagawa, I believe his name is, he actually fought in that movie. He was the main bad guy at the end of that movie, and he played that character perfectly. But the guy that they have playing Shang Tsung now it's not that he's bad, it's just I feel like we didn't get enough of him being the fighter or the overlord. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the king, but he was like laid back, instead of Kerry Tagawa, who was like in your face and he's like, your soul is mine, I'm gonna kick your butt and blah. I felt like this guy was more neutral, so they didn't do him any favors by giving him this character. As a matter of fact, I've heard that Kerry Tagawa, I hope I'm getting his name right, still wants to play Shang Tsung, and they just passed on him. Maybe it's an age gap thing, I'm not sure. Natara, I believe she's the one with the wings. Her character showed up way late in the movie, and it's like, what is going on here? And she's sort of this submissive to Shang Tsung kind of bat thing going on. And she showed up pretty much just to get killed. So you're kind of wondering what's going on with her character, and it wasn't all that great. Now, seeing them do this CG, it was okay. I like the CG in this movie was actually one of the better parts of the movie. The story really, really lacked. Like I said in the beginning, the only well-defined characters in this whole movie, in this whole series, in this whole franchise is Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I really feel like they flaked on the story and said, well, it's Mortal Kombat, people will watch it. And it's true, people will watch it. If this had hit theaters though, I don't think it would have done any justice to Mortal Kombat at all. Like, you would hope that it is better than the original movie. Except for the shock and awe of seeing a new Mortal Kombat movie, I just don't think it would have done that well. It's good that it's on streaming. It's on HBO Max until a month from now, I believe. So it's going to be up there till like May 23rd, and then it's going to go mainly to theaters, and then it might come back at some point. I'm not sure how that works. Now, they did do, for all the people who are fans of other characters, at the very end of the movie, there is a kind of like a Johnny Cage spoiler, which is kind of weird because this was an introduction to all the characters. So why didn't you just bring in Johnny Cage now? And he wouldn't, the way this movie went, he wouldn't even had to fight because, you know, they didn't really start the tournament until like the last 30 minutes of the movie. And this is a 2-hour movie. It's an hour and 51 minutes, I believe. And the real tournament / fighting didn't happen until like the last 40 minutes. So you're kind of waiting through this bad story, and it's like, okay. You did get a fight early on between Reptile and Kano. I felt like that was a little interesting. The CG in this movie was actually one of the benefits. It was actually good. Reptile versus Kano, the way they showed Reptile, throughout the game, he's evolved. He's not like in the ninja suit anymore. He's just his reptile form, and that's how he fought. They did real good with him. He's crawling around like a lizard, crawling up things. He's human size, so he's about 5'9", whatever. He's got this acid drool that he can spit, and he's a fairly good fighter. He's taken down, and it takes like all three of the main characters who are, at the time, who are Cole Young, Sonya Blade, and Kano. That starts out your original trio there. And it takes all three of them to take him down. And it's kind of pretty cool because Kano kills him. Spoiler, sorry. Kano kills him, and at the end of that fight, he says, Kano wins, like from the video game. And they do that a lot in this, like, fatality, flawless victory. They do that throughout the movie, which I thought was kind of corny, but it was nostalgic at the same time. So it was kind of like, okay, I'll live with it. But that was pretty cool. Like I said, the CG in this movie is great. Like, that is the highlight of this movie, the way they did the CG. The mark that they go through. Okay, so when the movie starts, all these people are just regular fighters. They have no magical abilities whatsoever until they finally meet up with Liu Kang. Then they find out, well, the mark allows them to tap into their magical abilities because they all have the little Mortal Kombat symbol somewhere on their body. They can either be born with it or they can win it from somebody by killing them. Sonya Blade, for most of the movie, doesn't have one, which doesn't surprise me because the fights aren't that good. But when you get your Arcana mark, it can show up in any various forms. You know, Liu Kang has the ability to shoot fireballs. Kano finally figures out, and his is probably the best. He is like the highlight of this movie because he's cracking jokes and just talking crap to everybody. But instead of in the video game, he has like a metal plate. Well, in this movie, it's just a scratch over his eye from Reptile, and he finds out that he can shoot a laser out of that eye. And he's like, yeah, I got my power before you got your power. And he's just talking crap to everybody. So that was kind of cool. The Arcana thing, I feel like it's a much more natural and explanatory way of saying how Liu Kang can shoot fire or Kano can shoot a laser. It's like, it's the mark, it gives you the ability, instead of just being a random person that can shoot fireballs. So it's a lot more natural. The opening scene of this movie is pretty much explaining, sort of, the war between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. That is the most fluidic part of the whole movie. Like, if this whole movie was a bloodbath between Scorpion's clan and Sub-Zero's clan, I would have rather seen a ninja movie that's just about that. I think it would have been great. It would have been fun. The fights might have been better because it would have been all people in ninja masks, and they probably would have hired people that can actually do good martial arts fighting. I know I'm harping on it, but I feel like the fights in this movie just wasn't that good. So the first 7 minutes, which have been leaked on YouTube already for like a week now, it's probably the best part of the movie. There are its funny moments throughout the movie, and there are good characters, and it's, like I said, the CGI is great, but that first 7 minutes between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they kind of cinched it right there. Scorpion's bloodline thing, throughout most of the movie, that kind of had me guessing. It's like, what are they going to do with this baby that survived at the beginning, and like, how's that going to go? And then it turns out to be Cole Young's character, which, like I said, he was invented for the sake of this movie as the main character, and it's like, do I really care about this guy? His armor is like a Swiss Army knife. Is like, he could take hits. I'm like, okay, so of all the people in this video game movie, he can take hits and then use that energy and dish it out. Should he really need backup from anybody? I mean, if he can just keep taking hits and then like expound that energy, why does he need backup? I mean, if his armor does that, he should be able to beat anybody, technically. I'm just spitballing here. He should be able to beat anybody, but, you know. And then they added that to Scorpion's bloodline, and I don't think that's ever been a thing in the video games, so it was just for the movie. But, you know, it is what it is. Another thing that kept me going is that, like, this obviously happened with the Scorpion thing in feudal Japan, and then the whole Sub-Zero thing, which is happening now in Mortal Kombat, would make Sub-Zero hundreds of years old. Why is he hundreds of years old? They never explain that. They never tell you. It's just Sub-Zero's now pale like ice, and he's still hanging around, and it's still the same guy. It's still Bihan, who is the original Sub-Zero. Now, I did have a question about that, as like, because in the video games, the new Sub-Zero is Bihan's little brother, and they never made any allusion to that. Your best guess is that Bihan is the only Sub-Zero, the only one left of his clan, so there's not going to be another Sub-Zero when there's normally two. I don't know. So that's kind of interesting. So they left the movie open-ended, and it kind of like, okay, so we're going to shoot this movie and we're going to make a sequel. You first should have made sure that the movie you're shooting is actually good. And when I watched this movie, because it was so long-winded, I thought, okay, this is going to be a movie where you meet all the characters, which is weak. And then the next movie is going to be where the tournament actually happens. Well, they kind of flipped that on me because, like I said, the last 40 minutes is them fighting, which kind of was weird because it's like they come up with this plan to separate all the bad guys, and then they know they can beat them. I'm like, but you just got your butts kicked. How are you going to all of a sudden be able to beat the bad guys when they just kicked your butt because you separated them? Really? Was that an issue in the first place? So it was kind of weird the way they just turned that around. They're like, yeah, we're going to start winning fights because we're fighting one-on-one now. But you were always kind of fighting one-on-one. How? What? But I digress. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed seeing it for what it was. Was it a great movie? No. If I had my choice between this movie and the original first Mortal Kombat movie, as cheesy as that movie was, I'd watch that one again. I probably wouldn't watch this. If they do get into a deal where there's a sequel, I really think they need to concentrate on the story. I really think they need to, whoever the choreographer for the fights is, they need to put in double work, because I feel like the fights in this movie were weak for a martial arts movie. It was like, it was real. And the thing is, most of the people in the fights are martial artists, but it was really weak. It was really bad. He missed a lot of points in making this movie, and they made a Mortal Kombat movie for the sake of saying, hey, we're gonna reboot this franchise. It's gonna make a crap load of money because people love Mortal Kombat. I feel like they missed the mark on this movie. Now, if you have HBO Max, then hey, go ahead and take a look at it. What's the point of missing out on just extra entertainment? Fine. If it was in the movie theaters, I'd probably do a hard pass on this until you could rent it or watch it on HBO Max or some streaming service. I just think it'd be better to get this movie along with a bigger package of movies. Enjoyed it? Yes. Would suggest it? Probably not. And that's my review on 2021's Mortal Kombat. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you watched the movie. I hope you enjoy the movie. If you've watched it, or if you're going to see it, or you have any notes on the movie, please put them down in the comments. I'd enjoy reading all of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. You have a good day.